Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to... Wait, you won't believe where I was. Where were you? Veedu, it's okay, you can tell us. I was outside of my house. It was terrible. Veedu, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Why is being outside your house a bad thing? Well, because there are Muslims everywhere. There is this one crazy Muslim guy inside my house looking at me like he wants to practice Sharia law or something. Just look at him. Look at those crazy Muslim eyes. Wait, that's you. No it's not. Yeah man, it's totally you. Wait, do you have a mirror in your house? Yes, I have a mirror in my house. Is there a chance that you saw yourself in the mirror? No, okay. I look nothing like that, okay? That guy looks nothing like me. Either way, you guys made a video about the Bible and you claimed that Prophet Muhammad was not in the Bible. Can I ask you guys a question? Are you an expert in the Bible? We've watched a lot of David Wood's videos. He's not an expert in Bible. You know that, right? Of course he is. He knows what he's talking about. Look at it. We trust him. He's an expert in Bible. He's an expert in Quran. He's a real stand-up guy. Yes, I'm sure he was a real stand-up guy when he was beating his father with a hammer. How do you know? Maybe he was sitting down when he was beating his father with a hammer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was not sitting down when he was beating his dad with a hammer. You never know. He is pretty short. Yeah, I guess you're right. Either way, let's take a look at this clip.
The question is, why do Muslims feel the need to look to the Bible and try and find verses that sound like they're talking about Muhammad?
The Quran quite often mentions that Muhammad was mentioned was prophesied in the previous books. For example, in Surah 7, 157, it says, "Those who follow the unlettered prophet, whom they find written down with them in the Torah and the Gospels." Right. So that's very specific, that this is it's there.
And we do believe as Muslims that the Bible is corrupted. However, that being said, Sheikh Ahmed Didat, he said something interesting. And he said that even though the Bible is corrupted, you can still find hints of Prophet Muhammad's prophecy in this corrupted version of the Bible. And many Islamic scholars have talked about this. So when I say talk about Bible, I'm not gonna just state my opinion. This is actually the opinion of the scholars. Many scholars say that agree with me on this point. So this is not my opinion. This is the opinion of the scholars. Scholars like Ibn Kathir, who has studied the Bible, Ibn Qayyum, and many other scholars. With that being said, let's get back to the video.
So our first prophecy that we're going to look at is...
It's in Deuteronomy 18:15, and it's probably the main one that they use. It's the number one. And it says, "The Lord God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee,
right,
of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken." The whole of Deuteronomy is about Moses nearing his death.
Right.
And the Bani Israel are worried about him going, because obviously he's been the lawgiver, he's been their leader, he's been their prophet. They've always looked, to him to communicate with God for them. Yeah. And he's about to go, and so they're worried. Who's going to lead us now?
Yeah.
Now, there's another mistake here. The whole of Deuteronomy is not about Moses nearing his death. According to most Bible scholars, Deuteronomy chapters 1 to 30 deals with Moses giving speeches to the Israelites, more specifically the young Israelites. In these speeches, he is perfectly well, and in the later chapters like 31 to 34, it deals with Moses dying and a new leadership, with chapters like Song of Moses. You can read about this in Bible scholar Walter Brueggemann's Old Testament commentary. You can also check this out in BibleStudy.com, where they basically summarize the whole thing, the whole of Deuteronomy based on chapters. So now that it's obvious you guys have no idea what the hell you're talking about, you probably didn't even do any research. So regardless, let's get back to the video.
So in actually straight away you can see that it's actually talking about someone who's going to come straight away. It's not, it's really a stretch of the imagination to say that this is referring to someone who's going to come 2,000 years later, because that's no use to the people there and then who are worried about who's going to lead them.
But a lot of Muslims say he will be. He says here that of thy brethren like unto me. So Moses is saying here that the person who will follow me will be like me. And a lot of Muslims say, well, this can't be Jesus, because Jesus was born of a virgin birth. He did not have a wife. He didn't get married. Muhammad was born of a natural birth. He had a wife. He got married. He had kids. All that kind of stuff.
He led an army.
Yeah,
he was a political leader. He was a religious leader.
So my question is, why is that not Muhammad then?
Okay, well, I agree that it's not like Jesus, and I think Muslims are right to say that Muhammad is more like Moses than Jesus.
Compared to, yeah.
However, actually, it's the Jews who have got it right, in my opinion, because they say that it's Joshua.
Right.
And Joshua was, in fact, the one who succeeded Moses.
Right.
And if you look at Deuteronomy and in the book of Joshua, you will see that it's clearly talking about Joshua, and or he fulfills all those things. In fact, he's more like Moses than Muhammad is.
Now, this is a straw man argument and a complete misinterpretation of what Deuteronomy chapter 18 is actually talking about. So I did some research into this, and I found out that the original Hebrew word-for-word translation of Deuteronomy chapter 18, after reading it carefully, it becomes quite obvious that God is actually giving us a prophecy about three different people here. Number one, it's talking about a prophet from the Israelites. It could be Jesus, Joshua, since they are both Jews and they are from the Israelites. Number two, it's talking about a prophet that will come from the Gentiles or someone outside of the Israelites. This is Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because he is the only prophet who came to the Gentiles or who came from outside of the Israelites. Number three, then last but not least, it talks about a false prophet. And I think this is talking about the Antichrist or the Dajjal. I could be wrong. But because we know from Islamic sources that the previous prophets also warned their people about the coming of the Dajjal, so I think it could be Dajjal or any of the false prophets that have come after Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So let's read from chapter 1850 to 1822 of Deuteronomy, so this becomes clear. Again, I'll be reading the original Hebrew to English word-for-word translation, just so you know that there's no bullshit or bullshit translation here. This is not New James or King James translation. This is the original Hebrew word-for-word Bible. So if you want to read this, I'll leave a link in the description. You can check it out. So Deuteronomy 8:15, it reads, "The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me, unto him ye shall hearken." Now the original Hebrew word-for-word translation goes something like this: prophet, Nibia, Mokbruk, from within you. Sorry if I'm butchering the Hebrew here. Makaik, so prophet from within you, from brothers of you like me, he shall raise up for you Yahweh, Elohim of you, to him you shall listen.
Now, if you don't carefully notice the language, but the verse actually is talking about two people, not one. And the reason I say that is because if you read the original Hebrew, it says, it goes something like this: prophet from within of you, from brothers of you like me, he shall raise up for you Yahweh, Elohim of you, to him you shall listen. So this is talking about two people here. One, prophet from within of you, and two, from brothers of you. Because from brothers of you cannot be a reference to the Israelites, because from within of you is already mentioned. And this is also again repeated in verse 18, where it says, and this is where God is speaking to Moses, and he's saying that I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, and he's talking about the Israelites, I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. Now, did you notice the language here? I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren. Now, this is the keyword here, their brethren. God didn't say from them, he says their brethren, which means a prophet will be raised up from their brethren. And who is he referring here to? Brothers of the Israelites. He never said here that a prophet will be raised up from the Israelites. He says from their brothers. And the Hebrew confirms this, because 18:18 in Hebrew it says, prophet I shall raise up to them from within of brothers of them. So a prophet will come for them from their brothers. That's what it means. It's talking about Prophet Muhammad because he's the only one who came outside of the Israelites, from their brothers. And who is their brothers anyway? Who are the brothers of the Israelites? Is the Ishmaelites or the Gentiles, the Ebionites. They're the brothers of Israelites. So from brothers of them cannot be a reference again to the Israelites. It's someone outside of the Israelites. So the idea is pretty solid because it's talking about from brothers of them. And another thing that confirms this is another prophecy from Deuteronomy chapter 34, verse number 10, where it reads, and this is after the death of Moses. I think after a long time after the death of Moses, where he says, and there rose up no more a prophet in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. Now this is interesting, because here someone, I don't know who, because no one knows who wrote the Bible, unfortunately, but and here the writer is saying that, and there rose up no more a prophet in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. Now, again, this is a complete contradiction to the whole theory that this is an Israelite prophet, because no prophet from Israel was like Moses, according to this writer. So this cannot be a prophet from the Israelites. And if, like I said, verse 18:18, it confirms that this is from their brothers. So this cannot be from the Israelites. So now that we have that cleared up, let's take a look at who these brothers of who these brothers are. So if we read, and by the way, I'm not the only one who thinks this. Many Jewish scholars also agree with me. For example, in the commentaries of Artscholl Chumash, he says the following. The sages note the Torah's statement here that in Israel there will never be a prophet like Moses implies that among the non-Jewish nations there could be such a prophet. Because, God said to them that a prophet will be risen from their brothers. Now the word brother, cannot just be a reference to any Gentile nation. It has to be someone close to the Israelites. And according to in many chapters from Deuteronomy, the word that's used here is called, the Hebrew word is called ach or ak, I don't know how to pronounce it, can mean brothers of the same parent, half-parent, or relative. With this in mind, brother could be a reference to Gentiles like Ishmaelites or the Ebionites. And the evidence for this can be found in Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse number 7, where it says, you shall not abhor an Ebionite, for he is your brother. So they're calling Ebionites their brother. And so, as we can see, they call the Ebionites their brothers, who are, who are close to the Israelites.
Now, since we know that this prophet will come at a certain time, we have no idea when he will come. However, if we look at Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse number 19 to 21, we see something very interesting, which is that John describes an event, or, supposedly someone describes an event, because it's not written who it is. Someone describes an event. The event goes like this, and this is in the record of John, when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, "I am not Christ." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" And he said, "I am not." "Are you that prophet?" Then he answered, "No." And this can be found in John chapter number 1, verse number 90 to 21. Now, we can see from this that when John the Baptist was questioned by the Jewish leader, he denied of being three things. He denied of being Jesus Christ, he denied of being Elijah, and he denied of being that prophet. Now, it is clear from these verses that Jesus, Elijah, and that prophet of Deuteronomy 18:18 are three separate figures. Otherwise, the line of questioning does not make sense. So, we can see from this Bible verse that at the time of John the Baptist, this prophet hasn't come yet. So it's after the time of Jesus and after the time of John the Baptist that this prophet will come. So this even narrows it down even further. So this confirms it, because it can only be Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because no other prophet came that had such an impact that Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did, other than himself. He's the only one who matches this description. And Islam is one of the biggest religion on earth, and it's said to even surpass Christianity in terms of followers. You can't possibly believe that all of this happened due to a false prophet. That just makes no sense. Unless he had God behind him. The success of Islam itself just confirms it. And also, now if we look at the Bible verses, it clearly confirms this, that a prophet will come from the Gentiles. If we look at the Gospel of John, we see that at the time of John and Jesus, this prophet has not come yet. Then 600 years later, Prophet Muhammad is born, and he matches this description perfectly, and he spoke the Quran the way it is described in Deuteronomy. So this can only be Prophet Muhammad, and this is this is just common sense.
If it's true that, as Muslims claim, that this verse was really prophesying Muhammad, then couldn't he have made it a bit clearer, a bit obvious?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't God able to say things clearly? Couldn't he just say, "Thy Lord God will raise up unto thee a prophet called Muhammad from the Ishmaelites, who will come in 2,000 years' time"? I mean, is that
would have been
it just
Yeah, I mean, why couldn't God just be more clear in his text that he's talking about Prophet Muhammad? Do you want like a Facebook message, a Snapchat, like, which one? I don't know, something. He could like send a prophet and with a book with clear instruction or something. This is exactly the reason why he sent Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, to confirm what was already revealed to the people before. You do realize that you just described the Quran and Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right?